Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know already, TNA has entered their fallout right after Slammiversary, the crowning of brand new champions, of course. But the real question is, where do we go from here? And as you know, sharks will be in the water to aim for the new champions. But however, of course, as you all know, back in Slammiversary, they announced a brand new Knockouts title, of course, and there's going to be a 16-woman tournament, and apparently we just begun, of course, the first round matches, and I can't wait to see how this one's going to play out. And then, of course, we move on with our final review, AEW Collision, who are still coming out of course, the Forbidden Door, but the real question is, where do we go from here? So basically, new battle lines are being drawn for the upcoming show later on this month, Redemption, and then, of course, we're on the road to All in the UK, of course, in Wembley Stadium. So it's going to be chaotic how things are going to be heading. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready with another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We even, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us to click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers, let's get started. So, let's begin with TNA Wrestling. Okay, TNA Wrestling. We opened up, of course, with Baby Nepo, of course. Ryan Bennett tried to say, my big brother, the TNA World Champion. Now, of course, many of you know this. Well, Nick Bennett mentioned the world champions he defeated, but he also mentioned names like Johnny Mundo, Johnny Mexico, Johnny whatever, all multiple. I thought that was kind of interesting. But he was also demanding for the entire audience to bow down as he's the king. But however, Casey Navarro was not okay how things are rolling up right now with him and this. And of course, Ryan Bennett gets in his face all the time. But however, Nick Bennett wants this thing between both Ryan and Casey to be settled, and that's what's going to happen later on in the evening. Now, we did have an interview with Gia Miller talking to Leon Slater. Now, of course, he called Cedric Alexander a snake. He had this match won, but of course, Cedric Alexander took the belt off of him from his hand. Basically, I rewatched it and it was very clearly. But however, he said he's not done with him. But right now, he is aiming for something else. He wants to aim for the TNA World Title. But what's the best way to elevate himself from that? Well, go against a former champion, and that is, of course, Eddie Edwards. So that pretty much tells us right there that's where he's going to go. Now, our opening match, of course, is the first round match of the Knockouts television title, of course. We have Tasha Steelz versus Mara Shade. Now, obviously, these ladies have faced each other before. Now, Tasha Steelz is the kind of person who looks at someone like Mara Shade that she needs to learn a lesson that no one is above her. And that's exactly. But, of course, this championship means it could bring a lot of glory and honor to the so-called Order of Four. And that's exactly what it would happen. But, however, Mara Shade was able to survive against Tasha Steelz by applying a moonsault. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Then, of course, when Mara Shade, during the post-match, was leaving, you can see Ali and Agent Zero. Firstly, I thought those two scumbags were attempting to harm her, but it seems that Ali was not satisfied how things are turning up right now. So, I don't know exactly what's going on in his head. Now, Rich Swann and, of course, BDE are having a nice conversation. It turns out that these two men are involved in a #1 contendership for the X Division title. However, of course, they showed no hard feelings about how things are told. But Rich Swann told BDE, despite the fact you're learning from me, do not hold back. So basically, he told them, do not hold a punch. And of course, BDE is willing to do that. However, that was our next match that goes on. So other than Rich Swann and BDE involved, we have, of course, Mr. Elegance, Hometown Man, Jason Hotch, and of course, Fabian Eichner. Now, these guys, of course, are aiming for the belt. I'm sure with Jason Hotch, this would bring a lot of name for the Order of Four. But, man, this one was crazy. But in the end, Fabian Eichner was able to pick up the win when he powerbombed BDE. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, he is now the #1 contender. So that means, as you all know, since he first arrived in TNA, he's been aiming for this title. And if I was Cedric Alexander, I would be worried. But we'll see where that leads to as well. Now, it seems, as you know, AJ Francis and Mr. Express are trying to recuperate after losing at Slammiversary against Elijah. It seems like they're trying to get Ricky Souza to join on the bandwagon, and that's exactly what's been going on. But I don't think Ricky Souza has any issues towards that. Now, in the back, we did see Order 4. It seems that Mustafa Ali was not completely satisfied with with two of his members are in fact lost 2 of their matches. But however, of course, John Skyler was hoping that maybe they get another opportunity for the TNA Tag Team belts. But however, Mustafa said that let me take care of that. Let me set it up. I'll talk to Daria. But what you need to worry about is winning. So basically, that's what they're asking for. Now, Ricky Souza made his way, of course, to the ring to address the fans that this was that he defeated Eric Young, and of course, Slammiversary was his first pay-per-view. And of course, the Righteousness, as you know, they seems like they want to pick him up to join. And it's the same thing with the System. So basically, that was what's going on. But however, of course, Ricky Souza was not going to handle it, and then Leon Slater showed up to give a helping hand, but of course, the number games was way too much. Now, we did see, of course, Elijah finally happy that he got to reclaim his name and everything, thanks to, of course, that scumbag AJ Francis. So we'll see where that goes with him too. Now, our next match is another first round match of the Knockouts television title, Heather by Elegance and Allie. Now, of course, Heather has Ann by her side, and Allie has Rosemary. So, of course, there was going to be interference on that. But luckily that Chihuahua and Ash was not there, because the Chihuahua was still dealing with the whole poison in his eye. That was going on. And, of course, Ash being dramatic about it. But unfortunately, it did not stop the match regardless, because it was Heather who double foot stomped Allie. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, Zaya Brookside, our brand new TNA Knockouts World Champion, has addressed the fan base about Slammiversary. But Ling Ying Ling, as you know, well, apparently she had a fallout, a bit of a plan where she already initiated her rematch clause, and that's gonna happen next week. But however, after she brawled with Zaya Brookside, she decided to turn this into a no disqualification match. So basically, this is the last thing that Zaya Brookside wants, but it's gonna happen regardless. Now, Mustafa Ali, of course, decided to talk to Daria Ray and ask her for another opportunity for the TNA World Tag Team belts against the Hardys. And of course, she granted it because I'm sure she was getting a headache after dealing with Santino on multiple occasions. But we'll see what that goes to. Now, our next match, we have Casey Navarro versus Ryan Bennett. Now, of course, Ryan has always felt that Casey was taking the little brother spot away from him and all that. But Casey was able to survive Ryan Bennett when he applied the Blessed. And just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But however, during the post-match, Nick Bennett applied the Danger Zone on Navarro. And just like that, he backstabbed him. Now, one thing I know about Casey Navarro, he doesn't like being stabbed in the back. Remember what happened with AJ Francis? Well, that didn't go so well for AJ Francis whatsoever. And I wouldn't be surprised that Casey Navarro will pull it off again. So we'll see where that leads us there too. Now our main event is Eddie Edwards versus Leon Slater. Of course, Leon Slater is determined to elevate himself and hopes to win the TNA World Champion in the near future. But the only way to do so is defeating former champions like Eddie Edwards. But however, wherever Eddie goes, of course the system's going to be there. Now, of course, Slater stood against all of them, but it was just too much because Eddie applied the inside cradle, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, we saw a 2-1 scenario until Ricky Souza showed up and dealt with it. So basically, we have new friends align themselves against the system. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see. So I can't wait to see how that's going to grow. So we'll see what happens next week. So let's move on to our last review, and that is, of course, AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. As you all know, well, Collision was pushed back all the way to Thursday for obvious reasons. Saturday, of course, is the 4th of July. You cannot watch AEW during the 4th of July. But it's cool. I'm not complaining. But we opened up with, of course, tag team action. We have the Death Riders consisting of Pac and Claudio Castagnoli taking on the Unbound, Drilla Maloney and Shingo Takagi, together known as the War Dragons. Now, of course, I'm sure many of you remember that Daniel Garcia still holds a grudge for the fact that he lost to Drilla Maloney. And I thought this match was pretty good. I thought they had like a bit of the powerhouse type that we needed. But however, Garcia decided to intervene and make sure that this match goes in favor of Death Riders. And it was Claudio who gave Shingo like an uppercut. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So just like that, Death Riders cheated their way through once again. Now, we did see an interview with the conglomeration. Well, of course, Orange Cassidy is like, look, we won the Steel Cage. It was crazy. But we were able to help Mark Briscoe get a title shot. But things didn't go according to what he would have wanted. And now he's out. And they don't know when they're going to see him. And the same thing with Tomohiro Ishii. But they even mentioned that Willow will be returning soon. And, of course, they talked about Leo. And they're like wondering where he's at. But of course, Roderick Strong made to the point. Look, the three of us are the current AEW World Trios champions. We're willing to defend those belts anytime. But speaking of champions, they called in Takeshita. And Takeshita goes, I like Phantasmo. I want Fletcher. I hate Okada. So basically, just like that, I had to say Takeshita really, really did a pretty good job. And of course, O'Reilly said that's how it's going to stay, the 4 of us as champions. Now, our next match, we have Andrade El Idolo dealing with Brian Cage. As you all know, Andrade broke away from the Don Callis family. He had it with the idea of being overlooked, not given the chance to face off for the AEW World title. But at the same time, he does not like MJF, and that was one of the things. And of course, he screwed the Don Callis family over this. but the Don Callis family want retribution for what happened. But of course, Don was going to get involved one way or the other. But luckily, Don Callis, of course, was complaining like a little girl that Aubrey Edwards did not count the three. He's like saying, "It's three." Of course, he's a little bald-headed bitch. That's what he is. But luckily, of course, Andrade took out Brian Cage with the DM, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, he told during the post-match comment, he asked Don Callis, "How do you know this is not? You say it's not over." And of course, the obvious question is, how you know? Classic, you know. I mean, we ought to get T-shirts for that. But anyway, next match we have Mina Shirakawa and Thunder Rosa taking on Zara Zakher and Becca. Now, for those who don't know, Zara Zakher is a local wrestler here in San Diego. I'm glad that she was in it. But, of course, obviously this match was going to go in favors with Mina and Thunder Rosa. But it was Thunder Rosa with the Tijuana Bomb on Becca. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Then we see Tekla, of course, doing a promo saying, you know, that that Stardom is dead because, of course, they defeated Starlight Kid. I mean, there will be more, the challenger, one way or the other. But the real question is who. But if I was Tekla, I'd be worried about, of course, the upcoming matches. I mean, she probably will defend the AEW World Women's title at Wembley, but we'll see how that rolls around. Now, Skyflight, of course, had a little nice talk with Matt Sydal, and of course, they offered him a position to join Skyflight. And yes, he did that because if many of you guys remember, Matt Sydal has teamed up with them before they became Skyflight, and that's going to be something that many of us are going to be happy to see. Now, our next match, we have the Shane Taylor Promotions, consisting of Shane Taylor, Carly Bravo, Sean Dean, and Lee Moriarty taking on the Bang Bang Gang, consisted of Jay White, Austin Gunn, and his brother Colton, and they teamed up with one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Adam Copeland. And I thought the match was pretty good. And of course, Shane Taylor Promotion acts like they think they're tough and all, and that's what they were trying to do. But however, it was the Switchblade to put away Sean Dean with Blade Runner, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. And then, of course, in the post-match, the Dogs, more specifically Clark Connors and David Finlay, showed up because, as you know, David Finlay David Finlay and Jay White had some unfinished business, but they were viciously attacked from behind by the Death Riders, since they're now aligned with them, of course, and they would let them brutal. Now, of course, we haven't seen Christian Cage, but we'll see how that rolls up there too. Now, our next match, we have the demand consistent of Sonico, Chris Nasty, and Jordan Oasis. Now, obviously, this match was going to go in favor with the man. It was Ricochet that picked up the win onto Chris Nasty when they both GOA lift him up, and he applied the Spirit Gun, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, during the post-match, Ricochet called out Matt Sydal because he thinks it's kind of cute that he sides with Skyflight. Like, he thinks that you're making a big mistake siding with them. I mean, they know each other too well. Now, our next match is the number 1 spot, of course, of the Casino Gauntlet match. We have Rena and Athena facing off. Now, this is not the first time these two ladies fought before. If you guys remember, I reviewed Stardom American Dream this past April, and Rena, well, she lost to her. And of course, the one thing that makes me funny is that Rena spit at her face, and Athena did not like that. But man, Rena showed up a pretty good match. But Athena, of course, is driven because her drive is to win the AEW Women's title, to prove herself what she is, that she is meant to be. And of course, she defeated Rena with the O-Face. Now, we did see Kyle Fletcher, of course, having an interview with Lex Luger talking about El Phantasmo, but of course his issues is with Takeshita, as you probably can guess. Now they are in full circle to reclaim what was taken from them, and that is the International Championship. Now, our next match, we have Bandito, Mike Bailey, and Mystico taking on the Rascals. I thought this match was awesome. The one thing that was insane, we saw dive, like one member of the Rascals dive, and then the opposing member then the Rascals posing, Rascal posing. I thought that was like endless dives. I thought that was pretty cool, and I loved it. But, however, it was Bandito that picked up the win onto Desmond Xavier with the 21 plex, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, the Divine Dominion, as you know, have been so far dominant, taking out anybody that stood in their way, whether they're local here in the States or internationally. And they feel like they've proven their point that no one can defeat them. But don't say things like that. Now, our next match, we have Rush taking on a local wrestler from here in San Diego, Jordan Cruz. But, of course, this match was going to go in favor of Rush because he gave him the bull's horn, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, and of course Rush decided to go on the post-match promo and says Viva Mexico, that sort of thing, and I thought it was great to hear that. Now, the Ops, of course, let's just say that they have their targets set on Bandito, and Shibata is aiming for the ROH World Championship, so that's something we're going to see sooner or later. Our next match is the number 2 spot of the Casino Gauntlet match. We have, of course, Julia Hart versus Maya World. This is going to be a lot of fun. I thought this match was pretty good, but at first I thought that maybe Julia Hart was going to win it, but Maya World was able to overcome it and put her away with the Shining Wizard, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. In our main event, we have Kyle Fletcher taking on El Phantasmo. I thought the match was really, really fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, Kyle Fletcher tried to put up a hurt onto, of course, El Phantasmo, but it was Kyle Fletcher that put the sheer brainbuster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, Crybaby Don Callis cries once again, saying that he's going to reclaim the international title because he felt that is a wrong that needs to be right. But Takeshita, well, he's not going to take that kind of crap coming from Don Callis. But we'll see what happens in the near future with this one. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So that's pretty much it, what happened in AEW Collision. So let's wrap up our episode with some news updates. Alright, so welcome to our news updates. Let's begin with upcoming events, starting with GCW. Now, as you know, they'll be making their way to Tulsa, Oklahoma on the 19th of July. Of course, they just announced Bando 48, more consistent with the Koga brothers, Atticus and Otis. They'll take on Cowboy Way, Thomas Shire, and one called Manders. Then we have, of course, the 20 years of Bad Boy on the 6th of August. They just announced Chris Statlander will be participating in this event. Then we have, of course, Enjoy Wrestling with the Best for the Business. They'll happen on the 11th of July. They just announced Fourth Line will take on Violence is Forever. It's a tag team match. Then we have the Produced Show, of course, Volume 2, Tiger Style. That'll take place later on this month on the 16th. We have the main event. They'll team up with Mikey Montgomery. They'll take on G-Sharp, Titus Alexander, and Manny Lowe. Then we have the collaboration between West Coast Pro and PrideStyle for Rooted, of course, the West Coast Pro World title. Adam Priest will defend it against Titus Alexander. And then finally, Jersey Championship Wrestling in our house on the 26th of July. Gabby Forza will take on Lee Sparrow. So that's pretty much it for upcoming events. Let's move on to some developments. As you all know, Starlight Kid made her presence known in AEW at the Forbidden Door, and she is hoping that she gets the ask to return to AEW. And I know that Tony Khan said that Starlight Kid is one of his absolute favorites, and I'm sure she's flattered knowing that Tony Khan is paying attention. And I'm sure we will see her again. I mean, we have seen Japanese wrestlers making their way, and that's pretty much it, what we can do. Now, as you all know, Kiera Hogan was out of wrestling for a while. She opened up about why she was absent, but that is still unclear. But however, it's later been told that she wants to return to TNA. For many who don't know, that she has had a career in TNA. Let's see how that rolls. I hope they do give her an opportunity for that. Eric Young, as you all know, he departed with TNA after his release. More information is coming about his position now that he makes his return to WWE, and not to mention his relationship with Triple H. It's been told now that he is expected to return um, to um, to WWE as a player coach in NXT. So it would make absolute sense about that. I'm not sure if that's something he wants, but we'll see. And then finally, of course, we got Holla Holla Holla, Teddy Long. Apparently, he'll be making his return to MLW. I'm really curious exactly what he's going to bring to the table. So I think that may happen soon or so, but we'll see. So I think that's pretty much it for upcoming events. So let's call it a day. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Now, originally I thought Ring of Honor was going to be for this one, but apparently not. It was going to be for the following day, so I may review that. However, I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do next with it because, of course, I'm still trying to catch up with Stardom with their much recent shows, 3 of them to be exact. And I'm trying to catch up with other events as much as possible. But we'll see how things go from there. But for now, we'll see. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.